It's no secret the number of gender-based violence and femicide cases have been on the increase in South Africa. This despite President Cyril Ramaphosa's commitment to intensify the fight against the scourge earlier this year. And back in 2018, the president also hosted an inaugural presidential summit on GBV where the issue was discussed. And there's another dynamic to this. There's also been an increase in cyber crimes that are directed at women. We're joined now by Glennie Founder of the Foundation and Ilonka Badenhors, Managing Executive of Wireless. Ladies, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. Ilonka, let me start with you and this concept of cyber crimes or an increase in cyber crimes aimed at women. What are we talking about?
Well, I think it's firstly important to look at what cyber violence actually means. So cyber violence can be defined as the use of computer systems to cause, facilitate or threaten violence against an individual, and this will result in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, psychological and economic suffering and harm. And it may also include the exploitation of an individual's circumstances, their characteristics and some of their vulnerabilities. It's not only a problem in South Africa, this is a global problem. Research recently done by the World Health Organization has indicated that 1 out of 3 women will experience a form of violence during a lifetime. And now, despite this new and growing phenomenon that is internet security, it is estimated that 1 out of 10 women will have already experienced a form of cyber violence since the age of 15. So that's an absolutely staggering statistic if we look at it that way.
Sure, as we lose you there, maybe let's just go to Mara. It doesn't stop there, right, Mara? A similar picture can be painted on the ground just from the work that you do. Maybe just talk us through some of the cases that you have come across, and in particular, the work that you have been doing with the relevant government authorities and what that has been like.
Well, thank you and hello everybody. Yes, it is a huge crime in our country. It's a shameful thing that we are the rape capital of the world, and giving you stats and figures wouldn't really be meaningful because they are bandied around in our country like balls, and they're thrown around and made up along all the way. Essentially, 1 woman in 3 will be suffers of violence in this country. Our systems are inadequate. Our police let us down. There aren't shelters. When you go to a shelter, you're allowed to stay for 3 months. Basically, we're in serious trouble.
And what has the level of consultation with the relevant government authorities been, right? So you rightfully mentioned we always bandy about these statistics, but there is a name, there's a face, there's a spirit behind that statistic. What has been your level of engagement with the relevant authorities? Has it borne any fruit?
We work very closely, or as closely as we can, with the SAPS on the ground, and we found them to be warm, caring people. But the difficulty is that the environment in which they are placed and the training in which they are given is inadequate. There are too few police in our country and too little high-ranking police who care. In fact, I just recently signed, along with thousands of other people in this country, with the National Shelter Movement, a petition against our police minister. And they wrote in the petition, which I agree, that our minister is uncaring and has no understanding of the needs of the women on the ground. So individual cases, that's what we do. We help people. For example, we've recently assisted the ladies that were raped in the Krugersdorp situation to get the medical assistance that they needed. Whilst they did go to the hospital and they did get medical attention at the government hospital, they were not given follow-up attention, and they sorely needed all to be examined. So that's the kind of stuff that we do. We help people on the ground on a low-profile basis because it's about the person, not getting the headlines.
Mara, I beg your pardon, Ilonka, Mara speaks of a lack of policing. Then you find the World Wide Web. How to police that? Or is there any form of policing?
So this is the reality. I mean, every single time that any of us go online, we are exposed to so many different types of threats. And as Mara said, I mean, the Cybercrimes Act has come into force, or certain sections of it, in December 2021. And it's great to have great legislation, but the enforcement thereof is a different side of it. And, actually, we usually say that we would motivate anybody, if you are a victim of or know of somebody that's a victim of, to go report it to your police station. But here again, it's whether the police station is not capable of dealing with these cases and actually assisting the victims here. But on that front, we're talking about, crimes that have already been committed. What we do from our side is to try and regulate and monitor the online space to try and prevent some of these crimes happening, and to educate and empower our girls and females to know what to look out for, and, to be vigilant when they are in the online space, to try and prevent them from becoming victims of these types of cybercrimes, specifically gender-based cybercrimes in the online space.
Something as innocent as a game, Ilonka, can be quite surreptitious, right? So for parents who are watching with their children, tips.
So tips. Well, at least here I can say that's one big thing that we do have with the film and publication boards. All games have to be classified to ensure that they are age appropriate and that our children are not exposed to violence and types of material that it's inappropriate for their specific age category. So here I would definitely encourage parents to make sure that if their kids are playing games, whether it's online or via computers, etc., to monitor, check that they are playing games that are within their age range. There are so many apps available to parents to guide them, where they can both monitor their children's activity and also get reports and alerts when certain actions are taken, specifically on games or when they're browsing. And the parents need to take an active role in this space, but also the children. And I think here communication is key. Parents need to sit down with their children at different ages to chat to them about the potential online dangers. And this chat actually changes over time. How I would be chatting to my very young child that's 6 or 7 years old, and how they need to... Luckily, there's quite a lot of free resources online that assist parents in guiding them on how to, address these topics, some helpful tips on how they can engage with their children, and then also some tips on how they could actually protect them from the parents' side.
Mara, just a closing thought from you. Ilonka speaks of conversations that need to be had. Perhaps your word to somebody who is finding themselves in a rather difficult situation and is pondering whether to stay or to leave.
Reach out for help straight away. Our lines are open now, and you could dial *134 *7355# and someone will speak to you today. Don't wait, because every day in South Africa 7 women are murdered by their intimate partner. So reach out and leave as soon as you can if you're in a dangerous situation.
And just very quickly for us, Mara, there's another presidential summit that is being touted. Your thought on that?
Well, I attended the last one, and it was in disarray, I have to say. It was broadcast on many programs. We had people walking out, people doing all sorts of things. The difficulty is that I don't think this can be dealt with on a large scale, because you'll never get the consensus. So my opinion is it's a nice to have, but certainly not going to bring us a step further than we are today. We need smaller working groups that can make decisions. Our difficulty is right now we are 2 years in arrears with things like our DNA, and until we get the rapists off the street, another seminar or conference is not going to help at all.
Thank you very much to both our guests. Mara Glennie is the founder of the Tears Foundation, as well as Ilonka Badenhors, managing executive of Wireless.